Good morning, gamers. This week I'm here to talk to y'all about movement shooters as a whole, as a genre. As I'm sure you can tell by just going out and looking at the gaming market nowadays, they're kind of dead. So let me talk to you about why that is and why I believe that it won't be that way for very much longer. Before we get started, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, follow me over at twitch.tv/Crips6, and hit all the links down in the description below. Let's get started. So first we need to take into account what I am calling a movement shooter here. When I think of a movement shooter and speak on the topic, I am referring to games that prioritize movement over everything else. In FPS games, there are four pillars to the gameplay, and that is movement, aim, and positioning. Those are the three pillars. So a movement shooter is one that prioritizes the movement over the other two. Now, let's take a trip down memory lane and look at all the movement shooters of the gaming world. First up, we have Quake. Lots of Quake games out there, but the most recent one is right here, and it is Quake Champions. They actually got an update 4 days ago. Let's see how it's doing. Okay, well, maybe everybody is on one of the older titles, and it's still not great. Okay, let's talk about something else. How about Lawbreakers, that game from way back when? Oh, never mind. They closed down back in 2018 and haven't even tweeted since then. Happens. How about Hyperscape, the kind of movement shooter battle royale that came out a while ago? Well, it wasn't on Steam, but their subreddit only talks about how the game has no players, and this random article says the 30-day average is right around 1 player every month. So, nice. Let's talk about Black Ops 3 though, COD's best attempt at a movement shooter. Actually not bad, but it is a COD game, so it got a lot more attention than these others. Moving on, how about Titanfall 2? My favorite game of all time that is definitely a movement shooter. Well, if you watched last week's video, that's currently unplayable due to DDoS. As you can see, there is a big trend with movement shooters and not having a large player count as of late. Even if you try to argue Splitgate as a movement shooter with Portals, which I'm inclined to agree with you, it only has a little over 2,000 players consistently, which isn't much in today's climate. And don't you dare try to argue Apex as a movement shooter to me. It has a lot of cool movement tech and abilities, but the game as a whole isn't a movement shooter to me. It feels like I'm trying to swim in a bathtub of syrup and there's no lifeguard on duty playing that game. And I have taken time to learn all the tech for that game, just don't come at me about it. So why are the player bases so low for these? Well, games like this in general have a higher skill cap than other games. At least a more obvious high skill cap. But people have a hard time adjusting to this. From the usual of a COD or a CSGO game to coming to a game where people are doing 360s over your head. In general, with movement shooters, you have to really get into them to enjoy them. They're just harder to enjoy casually. Titanfall 2 is one of the most prevalent movement shooters because, like it or not, camping was a powerful strategy in the game, so more casual players at least had a chance against the diehard players. We can also talk about the general gaming trend of the fact that everything needs to be a competitive game nowadays. With the exception of a few like Quake and whatnot, these movement-intensive games just are better to be played in pubs and not in a competitive atmosphere. They just don't work as well when you try to add competitive integrity into them. Again, Titanfall 2 is a great example. The comp scene was great and super fun to watch, but they literally had to ban half the stuff in the game to make it so the matches felt correct in a comp scene. They banned grapple, they put restrictions on Titans, they put restriction on the nades. It's insane. It was still awesome though, but look around today and nothing is like that anymore. Nothing is, you can play public lobbies and you can go into private matches if you want to pug or scrim or do comp things, but public lobbies is the option. Nothing's like that anymore. Nowadays, it almost feels like you have to have a ranked mode or an esports scene to survive as a PvP FPS game. So essentially how I feel at the moment is that the gaming market isn't quite right for a true movement shooter to come out and do well. People are already tired of sweats. They don't want to play against sweats that can circle around them at Mach 10 3 times before slapping them with a wet towel and killing them instantly. Right now, the trend is still a higher TTK game with basic base movement and some equipment that enhances it and maybe some cool tech if you really dig into it. For instance, let's take two of some of the biggest games in the world right now, Halo Infinite and Apex Legends. Both of them have a high TTK with pretty normal base movement. Look a little further, each game has cool movement abilities in the game. I've made videos on them that you should watch. Subscribe to the channel. For instance, the grapple from either game, the repulsors from Halo Infinite, or Octane's jump pad from Apex, all cool movement abilities. It's all there to enrich the movement. Look even further down into it, you get really cool movement tech in each game. You got overjumps in Halo Infinite, you got tap strafing and punch boosting in Apex, and countless other things in both games. The Halo video is from Joshington, and the Apex one is from Moki Sniper, by the way. But neither game is about constantly going faster and keeping up with the enemy like a true movement shooter is. These games are more about aiming and positioning than that. You can outplay with movement in both, but that is not the main course of action for the game. I mean games like Titanfall or like Splitgate, where the way to win is by being better at moving around the map than your enemy. So, as we said, it's just not the market right now. The FPS world is still largely dominated by battle royales, and movement games don't really work too well as BRs. The general masses are interested, but they don't love movement shooters. But in that sentence lies the entire point of this video. The masses and millions of gamers in the world are willing to give movement shooters a shot, but none of them have truly been entranced by a game. But we can take solace in that fact. Very soon, I'm predicting within the next 5 years, there will be a AAA studio that releases a game that will make a great movement shooter that also speaks to the masses. I don't know who they are, but these devs will figure out how to create a game with crazy movement, but also lessen the skill gap and make it not feel terrible to be new to the game. They will also make the game have a sense of competitive integrity, so scrims don't have to ban half of the functions of the game. When this game is released, it will be a truly glorious day indeed for us. Again, I don't know what devs, what studio, what IP this game will come from, but I'm predicting something of the sort within the next 5 years. And that gives me hope. And guys, thank you so much for watching this video. It really does mean a lot to me. I'll see you guys for a video I'm actually really excited about and loved making next week. Make sure if you like this video to like the video and subscribe to the channel, and let me know what you think will happen in the next 5 years of gaming in the comments down below. Click all the links in the description. You should follow me on Twitter for sure. But thank you for watching. Keep an eye out for next week's video. GG's and goodbye.